Hi everybody, it's Amanda, the Emotional Strength Trainer, having another go at a live video here on my personal Facebook page. So I would like to talk to you again today about mental health awareness and some of the things that sometimes people that are going through mental health challenges in their life that they may be unaware of from the point of view of energy and how energy works. So I'm going to have a chat to you today about being an empath, and also, oh, hello, Dr. Chris. Hello. My new contact, who is a wonderful chiropractor who does neuroemotional work in, what part of the world are you in again? You'll have to tell me, and I'll tell everybody, and then I'll tell them to go and find your Facebook page. So we're covering things about being an empath, and also something that came to me today that I realized, because I've been mapping this out through my own personal research in my practice, that over generations things repeat themselves. So it is this notion that when somebody in your genetic line has been through something, and then as each generation is born, the patterns keep repeating. So I have a theory around the fact that we have genetic memory. And to link that into mental health, sometimes when we are living through our own stuff, we don't know where it's come from. We don't know why we feel stressed or anxious or have those flutters or the dread feeling, or you might be doing something and all of a sudden you might change direction. There is a theory that I have along the lines that with the genetic memory that we have that is born, hello Nick, hello, that we're born with, that it can also fire up responses in our everyday life. It's just telling me that my connection is weak, so let's go and pop the data on. Okay. Sorry about that. So when you're going through your experiences and all of those sort of things, with the different challenges that are showing up in your life, one of the things I would encourage, especially if you have the kind of relationship with your parents that you could sit there and chat to them about their life and ask them what they did at this age, or did they have all those sorts of things, and just get them to start sharing some stories. If you have a really close relationship, you can say, I'm feeling this and this is what I'm feeling like. Was it the same for you? Hello, Stardust, Luna and Thula. How are you today? Thank you for coming. So I hope I said that right. So the process being, so I'm going to first cover this genetic memory aspect of our life. When emotional traumas happen to a person, through the reason why I have this belief system theory, whatever you want to call it, is that it creates a cell and then it goes and finds somewhere to live in your body. And then so a trauma, like if you were watching yesterday or have seen any of my videos, emotional trauma means different things to different people. And emotional trauma has no right or wrong. So whatever your soul has come here to live through, and if you have something that's traumatic in your life and it has created a little bubble in it somewhere, you could have genetic memory left over from your parents where the same thing has happened somewhere in their life, which as you turn into an adult, it exacerbates your triggers. Now, anything I ever talk about, I have been given permission by my clients. So I want you to know when I tell short stories about things that I've experienced in my practice, that I have permission to say it. So a long time ago, there was a fear. This person had, they were going through their everyday, and then they had this fear, or they called it a fear, of feeling like they wanted to commit suicide. And absolutely nothing in their everyday would add up to, they weren't even going through depression. That it was just this overwhelming thought. But because of their, like, I'll go emotional intelligence, or ability to ask the question of, whoa, what was that? They came back and talked to somebody. So, you know, I was talking about the Put Your Hand Up program that James and Kirsty Green Shields are doing. It's that kind of thing. They were able to put their hand up with, and then they came to me and asked me about it. So we started talking about it, and the dots joined, the joining the dots backwards that we did was that one of the family members, or a parent, and I can't remember 100% now, had committed suicide at that age. Another person that I've worked with had a flashback when she was, hello Frank, hello Shah. Thank you for turning up, Frank. I'm really glad that you're watching in every time you can. It's really cool. So another friend had a flashback to a memory as she was changing her daughter's nappy, and had a really horrible thought for her in her head, and she gave herself a fright because she owned that and thought that it was her ability to feel that way towards her daughter. And again, she put her hand up because it gave her a fright, and we had a chat about it. And then we were able to, hello Rod, we were able to join the dots backwards to why that feeling came up, because it was so out of character for her. So that's why I want to bring to your attention the notion of genetic memory. Talk to your family. Get some stories about things that have happened in and down the line, brothers and sisters, those sorts of things. So your parents could have experienced stuff as children that meant that the memory got stuck in their body, and then when you were conceived and all of their DNA, etc., was put into that little miracle of science that caused you to turn into a peanut, you may have taken that on as part of your soul's journey as well. And then it creates this memory or this trigger and those sorts of things. And if you're able to sit there and give yourself the opportunity to say, oh, was that mine, or is that something else? Because if it feels weird and feels strange, then that's a really good question to ask. Now, the other part that's really important with understanding mental health is often, and I know for every single person that I have had come through my practice in the last 8 years that has been on medication for depression and anxiety, every single one of them is an empath. So an empath is somebody who feels, like physically feels, other people's stuff. And that's where you come into, again, asking yourself the question, is this mine? You can feel other people's sadness, other people's, you know, everything, joy as well. Think about if you are in a, you go to a comedy show, say your favorite comedian, and there's thousands of people in the room, or hundreds of people in the room, and it's the comedian that makes you laugh as soon as they walk out, and you can't breathe and all of those sorts of things. Hello, Rachel. The feeling of euphoria you get, hey Kirsten, that you get when you are sitting in that room is massive, because you're getting your own chemicals to the laughter, but you're also absorbing everybody else's. Same if you go to a workshop, a personal development workshop. If you're an empath and you don't know, and you're going to a personal development workshop, because you are struggling and you can't get through things, or you're wanting to better yourself because there are days you just feel like crap and you don't know why. And you sit in that personal development course where people are struggling with their own stuff and you're the proverbial sponge, you're going to walk out of there feeling like you've been run over by a truck. You could possibly get really bad headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, all sorts of things, which is your energy trying to purge the toxins that you have soaked up as an empath. A big part of mental illness, from my perspective, I'm not a clinician, I'm just giving you an extra part of the puzzle for you to think about as you're going through whatever it is on your plate. As you are going through it, and you were to sit there and ask yourself, am I an empath? And then put yourself in situations where you know you've walked away feeling worse than when you went in, then your answer will be yes. And every person on medication I've ever worked with, it's been a yes. And then we do some techniques. I'm able to clear out the energy out of their system, and I give you some techniques and things like that to help you to protect your energy when you go into a situation. And you find that your ability to cope when you go into other people's homes or into shopping centres, personal development, into the workplace, all of those kinds of things. Now, from the point of view, you're in a workplace and everything is great. Frank, this might be interesting for you actually if you're still watching, being a pilot with a plane full of people that might be scared of flying. If you've ever had a friend say that they can't fly because every time they get on a plane, they feel sick or they get motion sickness, those sorts of things, I would introduce the concept of empathy to them, because they may be taking on other people's fear of flying. And especially with the things that are going on in the world, and I know that you're a long haul pilot, so you know there's a whole heap of those those extra fears that come in when, especially with people that are new at traveling. So from the point of view of you're in a workspace and you have all of these people, everything is great, and then a new person comes in and everything gets destabilized. Looking at the dynamics that are around the kind of person they are, the triggers, the energy that they're putting out, and being able to step back and ask the question. Because as an empath with a new energy, you haven't had any practice with this person. This person might be shooting out daggers at every moment because it's a new job, and what if these people attack me, and all of those, like blah, blah, blah. And then you're sitting there in your workspace and there might be other empaths around you, and wang, 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 wang. And next thing you know, you're sitting there going to the doctor for anxiety medication or depression medication. Now, big sentence. I'm not telling anybody not to go to the doctor to get it, because my belief is once the chemicals start to mess with everything, they are a good option, especially when the chemicals have gone into self-destruct mode. But when you're using other things like energy work, like this sort of stuff, Reiki therapists, acupuncturists, people that do, there's another therapy that I love called bioresonance therapy. All of these relaxation techniques bring meditation into your daily practices, breathing techniques, even just from the point of learning to use your voice. Being able to sit and recognize when somebody turns up and you're like, what are you doing here? But you can't feel safe saying that to them, but you could drive home and find your voice in the car and imagine that person sitting in the car and saying, and you're allowed to say, I don't like you, you bring this horrible energy, you've ruined everything, why are you here? But it's just speaking to get the inner thoughts out of your head, because it's the inner thoughts that make you sick. And then, that links back into our upbringing and how you've been empowered to find your voice, and whether you've swallowed your words and you're not wanting to upset anyone, and people pleasing and all of those sorts of things. So I wanted to share those with you today. If anybody watching has some questions, you're welcome to pop some in. Hello, Donna and Catherine and Renee and Natrice. Hello. I said that I was going to be like Miss Helena from Romper Room. So should I find my mirror and see who else is in the room? And then I'll say hello. But if any of you have got a question about mental health issues, part of the do pop them in there, and I'll look out for them and answer them as we go along. So one of the biggest questions that I'll repeat for you again now is asking, is this mine? Okay. If you are in a relationship where you might have a narcissist that has dominated your energy, your physical space for a long time, if you're the codependent, if you were brought up in a home where there was a narcissist codependent relationship that you watched, and you were the easy target because you were the child, and they create memories within your system about upsetting people and taking the blame for things. And, you know, I remember once seeing with my own eyes what it looked like when somebody had like broken a glass, and it was stressing them out, and the child had just walked into the room or was yelling or something like that, and the adult went off and said, you made me broke that glass because you were yelling. And it's, you know, no, the child didn't. You dropped the glass. But that person wasn't coping and had no coping mechanisms, so lashed out at the easiest thing to blame. And if it was a severe enough scream or yell, or even the child got a smack, that's what creates the emotional trauma that starts to build the neural pathways or the story book that you grow up with as an adult. So the best remedy that I can give you is, if you're already on medication and you would like to come off, then make sure that you stay on it and you seek out help. Now, you're welcome, like my group Carmy, C-A-R-M-Y, it is short for Conscious Army, but I don't like the word army because we do some amazing things that don't involve making people cranky. And not that the army doesn't do a good job, I'm just saying that's not my gig. So we made it small into Carmy one day when somebody said it that way, and it stayed. So that's what we do in my Carmy group. I know that there are a lot of quality energy therapists around. I have a lot in my circles. It takes a village to raise a child, and not every person is going to resonate with somebody. But if you start asking the question, start broaching the subject with somebody, saying that you were looking to shift from having to be chemically dependent on your happiness, and bring in an energy therapy, because the work is very gentle, and it's also very empowering. Often with the energy work, you don't have to talk about what's happened in your life to see results. And that can often frighten people, because they sit there and think, if I've got to talk about it and I start crying, I'm not going to stop crying. And that means that I can't live my life, or it's going to be the end of me. So through energy therapies, you don't have to do that. And I think that that's a great gift to people who believe they are struggling to the point where they won't come back if they were to start digging or working on it. Now, one thing that I will tell you, when you do this kind of work, you can be assured that if your soul, your brain, your body cannot handle something, it's not going to come to the surface for you to have to deal with. I can guarantee you on that one, especially like I'm speaking for myself with my work. See what happens when I'm going through and doing the energy work. If I go into an area of the body and there's no information, there might just be colors or something like that, then I don't go digging or asking for more information, because there's a resistance issue. And when you do energy work, you can trust that your soul is going to provide what is in your highest and greatest good to the person facilitating you getting to your happy place. So you will not be put with my work, you won't be put into a healing crisis where you can't function. Okay, so I hope that has given you some more food for thought when it comes to mental health awareness. Those of you who have people in your life that are going through a mental health challenge, ask them, are you sure that this is yours? Are you sure that somebody else's energy isn't infiltrating your own thoughts if you can't join the dots on things? That's a really kind and loving way of supporting someone. And don't go to yourself and think, oh my God, am I making that person not well? No, it's like, that's another Facebook Live that I'll do another day. But certainly if you are looking to get and start doing something about this, please reach out to me. I'd love to introduce you to my Kami group. You can participate as much as you want or as little as you want, as long as you get the information and you can listen to it or read it. You will get the benefit from it. And I found my thing. It's what I want to do the most with helping people to get through their shit, because we don't need to live with it unnecessarily. And as scary as mental health is, and as scary as owning your shit can be, because you're looking at working through things and the people that have been in your lives and soul agreements and parents and grandparents and siblings and all of those sorts of things. I'm living proof that you can make it through some pretty yucky things that come out of the blue. And it's just through dedication and understanding the process, taking responsibility where possible, handing back things that have been given to you that aren't yours. That's an art in itself, which we do either in my one-on-one work or through Kami. And knowing what's okay and what's not okay in your life, and finding those, bringing some boundaries in, and away you go. So I hope this has given you a bit of permission to start doing the work, and I really thank you all for jumping on today to have a watch, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now. Off. It's not going off.